Welcome to our third video, Developing Phonics Skills and Reading Fluency. In our last video, we discussed auditory working memory, phonological awareness, and phonics. We explained the difference between phonological awareness and phonics and introduced some beginning phonics activities that focused on beginning consonant sounds and introduced short and long vowel sounds. In this video, I'd like to show you some more strategies and activities that you can use to continue developing phonics skills and reading fluency. Remember that acquiring phonics skills is more challenging than learning sight words for learners with Down syndrome. It is an ongoing process and takes time to develop. It involves knowing letter sounds and letter combinations, learning the rules that go with each letter, and transferring this knowledge to decode new words. Phonics relies heavily on hearing, auditory processing, working memory, and speech production. Keep this in mind when introducing new activities for the first time. Plan for your students to be successful early on in an activity by using visuals, clear and simple language, and modeling how you want the activity to be done. Once your student is demonstrating that they know consonant sounds, you can introduce digraphs and blends. A digraph is a pair of letters that makes one phoneme or sound. For example, SH says sh or CH says ch. At this early stage, the digraphs that should be introduced are CH, TH, SH, and WH. CK is considered a digraph, but only comes at the end of short vowel words. Consonant blends. These are groups of consonants that have no vowel in between them, and the sounds are altered slightly. For example, the BL together says bl, or ST together says st. These can often be difficult for students to hear, so the more practice and repetition, the better. The goal is for your student to recognize the two-letter blend as a single orthographic or spelling unit. When introducing digraphs and consonant blends, explore the initial position first. This is the easiest position for students to be able to discriminate. There are three main groups of consonant blends: S blends, R blends, and L blends. Digraphs and blends fit in well with word family activities because they can be easily added to endings or rhymes, such as the ip, op, or in families. Throughout your reading program, short vowels should regularly be reviewed, as they are challenging for students to discriminate between. For example, the short A sound, a, and the short E sound, eh, all sound very similar. I try to review vowels regularly and remind my students that every word needs a vowel. This book, Phonics Pathways by Dolores Hiskes, is a great resource for activities to reinforce sounds and letter sounds. When doing the following activities, it's important to allow your student to select correct answers from 2 or 3 choices before you have them produce a sound. Let's look at some activities that you can use. Using the match select name approach is a great way to introduce digraphs and consonant blends. So Karen, let's show how we would introduce the 4 digraphs. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Can you match that? Yeah, put it on there. Good. W. Good. Sh. And ch. Good. So we would do that about 3 times, and after each time shuffling the cards up, then you're going to get rid of the word grid, and I'm going to put out the flashcards in front of Karen. Okay, Karen, give me the card that says ch. Good. Okay, give me the card that says sh. Perfect. Give me the card that says w. Excellent. And excellent. So you'd have your students select the letter sounds a few more times to make sure they have it. And after they've done that, you can give the flashcards to the student and they can name them. Try it out. What's that sound say? Perfect. Good. 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 Excellent. These next activities reinforce letter sounds introduced through the match select name approach through pictures. In this activity, you need a variety of pictures that represent the different blends or digraphs that you're focusing on. For this activity, I have a picture of grapes that starts with the GR blend, gr. I have a picture of a brush that starts with BR and the br sound. And I also have a picture of a slide that starts with the SL blend, sl. I would lay these pictures out, and what I'd want my student to do is to select the picture that begins with the sound that I say. So for example, if I say, give me the picture that starts with the sound sl, I'd have my student hopefully pick up the picture slide. Sorting pictures is a great way for your student to develop auditory discrimination skills and to introduce a blend. Today I'm going to show you how to introduce the st blend using pictures. First, I would make sure I had a variety of pictures that represent words that start with the st sound, but also that begin with the single consonant S sound and the single consonant T sound. This way, the student is able to contrast those two sounds, the single consonant sound and the consonant blend sound. So I would first model how I'd want the student to sort the words. Tie starts with T, so I'm going to put it under the T. Star starts with st, so I'm going to put it under the st. And socks starts with s, so I'm going to put it under the s. Once I've modeled that for the student, I would finish the pile with him or her. Then I would collect the pictures, shuffle them, and hand them to him or her to do independent practice. This activity can be turned into an auditory drill where the student selects the pictures that matches the sound that you say. In the early stages, have the student select the sound from a choice of 3 visuals. This reduces the load on short-term working memory and does not require the student to produce the sound before they've had the chance to hear the sound accurately several times and associate it with the picture. Use pictures that will be motivating for your student. You want your student to have a strong association with the phoneme. Continue introducing blends and digraphs through the match select name method and picture sorts. You can increase the difficulty by having the student contrast blends that sound similar, like gl and pl and bl. You can also increase the difficulty by sorting pictures based on final sounds. For example, you could sort words that end with the st blend or the sh digraph. After demonstrating that he or she can select and sort blends and digraphs accurately, give your student the opportunity to say the blend and write the blend that corresponds with the picture. If your student has difficulty writing, give them letter cubes to spell the sound, or use a computer for them to type on. They can also sign out the letters. Bingo can easily be adapted to target consonant blends and digraphs. Simply find your own board. You can make your own or Google search consonant blend bingo on the internet and you'll find a lot of templates that you can print off for free. In this case, I've laminated my own board and I've selected consonant blends that I want to focus on for this lesson. You can play in 2 ways. You can have the caller call out words and the student has to listen to the beginning sound of those words. So for example, if I called out glue, the student would have to isolate that consonant blend at the beginning of that word, gl, and find it on their board and cover it. Alternatively, the caller can just call out phonemes or sounds, so they could just say the tr sound, and the student would have to find that blend on their page or on their board. Board games are also another fun way that you can practice digraphs and blends. This is one board game we made that has blends focusing on the R sound. So in this case, you would need a pile of pictures that represent different consonant blends. The first player would take the top card and look at the picture. In this case, it's a picture of grapes. So that means that the student must move their man all the way to that gr blend. Another activity that you can use would be a blank template like this that you can make on your own, or a simple Google search of blank board game templates comes up. And in this case, you can laminate it and reuse it by writing the different consonant blends that you want to practice with your student. And then you can also use a traditional game like Snakes and Ladders, where before the student can move their man, you roll the dice, and all you need is a stack of flashcards with consonant blends on them. Before they move their man, they need to take the top card and read out the blend or sound, so tr, and maybe come up with a word that starts with that blend. The previous activities can also be used to introduce long vowel pairs, like the EA sound, OA, or EE sound. Once your student is consistently recognizing his or her letter sounds, it's time to give opportunities to practice using these sounds in blending and segmenting activities. This will provide practice in applying their sound knowledge. Blending is the ability to smoothly combine letter sounds together to form a word. For example, st, op. Segmenting is the ability to break up a word into its individual letter sounds. This is a skill we use when we are spelling a word. For example, if I wanted to spell the word stop, I'd break it down into its individual sounds. S, t, op. This skill is used when we're trying to spell a word. It is a more difficult skill. Try to include a blending and segmenting activity with each of your sessions so that students can practice applying this letter sound knowledge. When introducing the skill of blending, it's really good to start with just 2 letters at the start. So in this case, I'm going to start with a and t. I'm going to say each sound individually, and after each time, I'm going to move the letters closer together. A, t. A, t. And once they get close, I'm going to show my student how to blend those sounds together smoothly. At. Give your student the board and have them practice on their own. And once they've shown you that they can blend 2 letter sounds together, you can introduce a 3rd letter sound. At. At. Hat. Once you've practiced with CVC words, or consonant, vowel, consonant words, you can extend the activity by changing the beginning sound to a digraph, like ch, or any of your consonant blends. And to extend it even further, you can put the consonant blends at the end too, or in different positions in the word. So in this case, you'd start with ch, at, ch, at, chat. Accordion words. Another fun visual way to reinforce blending and to practice blending is by taking a strip of paper like this, and you're going to fold it into an accordion. So all you need to do is space out the letters of the word that you need, and then simply fold it so that when you do fold the letters together, they create a word. So what you're going to have is you're going to show your student the spread out letters, and you're going to have your student say each letter sound. Try it out, Karen.
G, O, T.
Good. And then we're going to bring those letters together and blend them smoothly together.
God.
Good. Excellent. Another way to make blending more interesting, especially for younger students, is to make a pointer like this and pick an animal that's traditionally slow, like a snail or a sloth or a turtle. And use this pointer to help the student slowly blend each of the letters together. So in this case, if I wanted to practice blending these letter sounds together to read these words, I'd take my turtle and I'd go hop, hop, shop, big, big. So the snail in this case is cueing the student to speak slowly and enunciate each of those letter sounds in the word. Alternatively, you can make the student become the snail talker, where they have to segment the word and say each sound, like h, ah, p, and then practice blending those sounds together. Hop, or in this case, sh, op, shop. Another alternative that you could do with this game is where you become the snail talker and you say the sound really slowly, and then the students need to select the word that they think you are saying. So for example, I might say b, I, g, and they would have to choose which sound or which word I'm saying or segmenting. Robot talk. Another way to practice blending is to take a similar character like a turtle or a robot or a sloth, something that talks really slowly, and blow up the picture so that you have a bit of a mask or a face like this, where you cut a slit through its mouth. Then you're going to make some strips with the words that you want to practice blending. So in this case, I'm going to work on the word chop and stop. So you'll hold up the face, and as you push the strip through its mouth, the student's going to say each sound that comes out. So we'd start with st, ah, p. And you could stop there and see if the student can blend those sounds together to see what word it is. And if not, at the end, the word's written properly, and they can read the word stop. And again with ch, ah, chop. Another activity to work on the skills of blending and segmenting is a game we call beginning, middle, end. It's also a good activity because it's going to focus on those concepts of beginning, middle, and end, and hearing those sounds in those in those places of the word. So in this activity, I'm going to give the grid to Karen, and I'm going to say 3 sounds, and Karen's going to write those corresponding sounds down. So Karen, are you ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, here we go. D, I, g. Good. So Karen has written the appropriate letters in the right spots. And now it's up to Karen to blend those 3 sounds together. So let's try it out.
D, I, g.
Good. And let's blend it really smoothly. You ready? Dig. Good. Okay. Now, another activity you can do with the same grid is kind of stepping it up to make it a bit more difficult. So this time, I'm going to say a word, and I'm not going to segment it. So it's going to be up to Karen to hear each individual sound and write the word. So Karen, why don't you try this word? Let's do cob. So think about that beginning sound. K-ob, cob. Cob. Good. And what's the word?
Cob.
Good job. Excellent. Nonsense or real words. So in this activity, you're going to have a pile of flashcards with consonants on them and a pile of cards with vowels on them. And I've just marked my vowel cards with green dots so we know that those are the vowels. So this activity is going to work on blending, and it's also going over those concepts of beginning, middle, and end. And it's also working on comprehension, because the student's going to have to read the word and decide if it's a real word or a nonsense word. Okay, Karen, so you're going to first take 2 consonants. So we have a T, T, and a P. Okay, now we need a vowel in the middle. Oh, all right. So now Karen's going to blend those sounds together. What word does that say?
Top.
Top, exactly. So is top a real word or a nonsense word? Yeah, it's a real word, exactly. So now, since Karen's decided it's a real word, she's going to write her word on the far side, in the right column. Good. Okay, now, Karen, you can take 2 more consonants. Let's see what we get next. Oh, so yeah, turn that around so the line's there. Good, so we have a D. Ooh, and a Z. Okay, so let's put that there. And do you want to pick a new vowel? So now we have Z, A, D. Blend those together. What do we get?
Zad.
Zad. Is that a real word or a nonsense word? Zad. What does zad mean? Have you heard that word before? No, neither have I. That means it's a nonsense word. It's not a real word. Zad. In this bingo game, the player is going to be required to blend two phonemes together. So in this case, we're working on blending a consonant with a vowel. The caller in this game segments two phonemes, for example, d, I. And then it's up to the player to blend those two sounds to make one sound like d. And they're going to look for that on their chart. And there you go, and mark it. I'll do one more just to show you. N, I. They have to look, blend those two sounds together to make it say n, and they're going to find it. I highly recommend the Reading Pathway series by Dolores Hiskes. It is organized by sounds and spelling patterns. The sounds are introduced one at a time and slowly build into syllables, words, and phrases, and then sentences. There are several examples and practice readings, and it's very simple to follow. Fluency. Fluency refers to reading smoothly, with accuracy and expression, and responding to punctuation. The more fluent a reader is, the more likely they are able to comprehend a text. When we read fluently, we read in phrases and not word by word, which is quite common for beginner readers. Good readers process the text automatically, and therefore the cognitive resources are able to focus on understanding the text and not decoding each word. The following activities will focus on students reading smoothly, in phrases, and with confidence. When I first introduced the idea of fluent reading with my students, I model reading like a robot first, where I read sentences in a very choppy manner. Then I model reading fluently with lots of expression and at a good pace. We discuss why the second reading was better. Was it easier to understand? Was it more interesting to listen to? I explain that when we read, we do not want to sound like a robot. We want to read smoothly and at a good pace, not too slow, but not too fast. You've already worked on fluency when you've had your students read sentences that they've built using their high-meaning sight words. I try to keep a collection of these sentences that we've made over the year so that we can use them to work on fluency some more. So I usually have the students select 5 sentences of their own and lay them out. And they can practice reading them once or twice on their own. And then I'll have them read them out in their most fluent voice, smoothly and stopping when they get to the period. One way to make it a bit more fun is if you have a variety of characters or different voices. So they could select one like this where it says mummy, and they would have to read the sentence in the voice of a mummy. But you can make them emotions, so you could say read it in an angry voice or read it in a silly voice. This case is Batman, so they could read the sentence as the voice of Batman. Another way to build fluency is to type phrases and sentences in a PowerPoint presentation. It can be set up so that the student has repeated practice with high-frequency phrases or phrasal patterns, and these can be expanded into full sentences with images and sound. This is just another way to vary practice in sentence reading. Just as it is important for students to be able to recognize spelling patterns in words, it's also important for them to recognize patterns in sentence structure. High-frequency word phrases are a way to practice reading in phrases or chunks rather than word by word. By reading in phrases or chunks, a reader is more likely to understand a passage better than if he reads it word by word. The ideas become more connected. Another way to practice fluency, in addition to using the sentences that you've built with the high-meaning sight words, is using high-frequency phrases and high-frequency sentences. And what that means is that they're just using high-frequency words, so words from a common word list like the Fry's first 1,000 high-frequency words, or another common high-frequency word list is the Dolch words. So you can easily find these phrases on the internet by doing a simple Google search. And I just found these for free, and you can print them off in flashcard form already. So you'd have your student practice again reading these phrases. So in this case it's saying, a good man. And for fun you can have them read them in different voices, like we talked about with the high meaning sentences. But you could also use these in a board game. So if you were playing Snakes and Ladders, you could do the option of having your player, before you move your player, you need to read one of the phrases. And then you can move. Easy reads. A great way to start a session with your student is to spend just a few minutes having him or her read an easy book. This would be a book that the student can read with over 90% accuracy. Have him or her read the book aloud while you listen and keep track of any errors. Common errors could include omitting words, omitting the ending or suffix of a word, adding extra words and endings, and substituting words with similar looking words. Use this information to build into your future reading sessions. For example, if a student was consistently missing the ing ending while reading, make this ending a focus in your next session. Include a word sort based on endings and adapt some of the activities so that they can target the ing ending. By starting with an easy read, you're starting with an activity that the student is successful with. Their confidence is high and you can give positive feedback about their reading. For example, you could say, I really like how you took a short rest when you came to the period, or you read that really smoothly with good volume. Giving this constructive feedback is much more helpful for the student because it's specific and it identifies the reading skills that they are using. Reading fluency passages. Reading fluency passages are short texts that are at a specific grade level and display the word count. There are several reading fluency passages available online at the following websites. At interventioncentral.org, there's an online tool that allows you to make your own passages, and the tool will calculate the grade level and the number of words in a passage. This is a great way to create individualized reading passages with students' high-meaning sight words on topics that they are interested in. We've included these sites at the end of this video as well. Leveled fluency passages should be used for modeling fluent reading, repeated reading, and timed reading. Modeled reading and assisted reading. Read the passage while the student follows along. It is important to give students many opportunities to hear what fluent reading sounds like. Next, read the passage together out loud. And finally, have the student read the passage on their own out loud. Give the student feedback on what they did well, and encourage them to try reading the passage again on their own, focusing on one improvement, such as pronouncing a word correctly or taking a rest at each period. Repeated reading. Students should read passages several times on their own. This will increase their rate of reading and improve their recognition of sight words and sentence structure. I send home passages for homework and have boxes at the bottom of each page for students to check off every time they read. Readers' theater performances. Providing opportunities for performance gives students a reason to practice reading the same text. This repeated practice makes students have a deeper understanding of the text. Some ideas for text that could be practiced for a performance are jokes, poetry, nursery rhymes, scripts, speeches, personal stories, or monologues. The Reading Pathways program also provides a variety of leveled practice reading passages that build fluency. Passages begin with a short phrase and then build on this phrase so that the student completes a repeated practice. When doing any of these fluency practice activities, it's helpful to cue the student's attention to patterns and words in the passage before you read. For example, you might skim the passage first and have the student point out any words they recognize or words they don't recognize. This is a great opportunity to preview tricky words and will also help the student read more fluently. I also like to point out phrase patterns. For example, I might say, look at how each of these sentences start with, he can go. This way the student is expecting to see these words together, and he or she will read with more automaticity. Timed readings, or running records, are commonly used by teaching professionals and allow you to find out what the appropriate challenge level is for a student to read at. They also provide important information about what kind of errors a student is making and the rate or speed of reading. Often reading speed is overemphasized, but remember that speed will increase with repeated reading and improved accuracy. The following websites offer explanations on how to administer timed readings. This brings us to the end of our video. We've talked about what digraphs and consonant blends are and introduced some activities to work on these skills. Remember, you can always adapt these activities to meet the specific needs of your student. Start by looking at digraphs and blends in the beginning of words, and then work on recognizing them at the end of words and in the middle. We've also discussed blending and segmenting skills. These are important skills to build because they are used when decoding new words and when we spell words. Blending and segmenting skills can be difficult for many students, especially segmenting skills. Finally, we discussed reading fluency, and when we read fluently, we are reading accurately, smoothly, and expressively, while responding to punctuation. The more fluent we are when we're reading, the more likely we are to understand the text that we are reading. We have provided printable resources on our website that you can download now. These will aid you with setting up your reading sessions and preparing some of the activities. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have gained a few more tools to use with your students. Remember that your job is to foster a love of language and reading, and the only way to do this is to make sure that your student experiences success in each session. If you have any questions, please contact us at the Down Syndrome Research Foundation. Thank you.